Hi, back again. Remember that beautiful St. John's wort field we looked at yesterday? Now we have the flowers. Aren't they nice? One really cool thing about St. John's wort is if you rub it back and forth in between your fingers, it turns red. You see that? And the oil will turn red when we're finished with it. The buds have more oil in than the flowers, and the leaves have some but less. So when you're making a preparation, you want to use about 80% flowers and about 20% stems and leaf. So first we want to start with a sterilized jar. We want to make sure that it's completely dry. So I put these in the oven at 150 degrees for about a half an hour. That way it both sterilizes it and keeps it dry. Moisture is the thing that's going to give you trouble when you're making a herbal oil. So the next thing you want to do is cut it up fine. I'm just going to put it back in the bag for a minute and take it out of there. The more you cut it up, the more you'll be able to fit into the jar, and it increases the surface area. So there's more plant material to absorb the oil. It's an old herbalist trick. St. John's wort is one of the most healing plants I've ever come across. It's really nice for the skin and inflammation when you use it externally. I've used it for, oh my God, probably 30 years in my massage oils and in the lip balm and face cream. So nice for the skin, so soothing. This is where it all begins, is with the plant. So we're just chopping it up. Some people like to use a blender for this part, and that's okay. But I kind of tend to stay away from electrical vibration into the plants these days, but you know, it's an individual thing. So here we are chopping, and you want to loosely pack it. You can use any kind of oil that you want. I have a tendency to use olive oil because it's one of the least likely oils to go rancid. But some people like to use almond and apricot. Grapeseed's another favorite of mine that I like a lot. Chop, chop, chop. And when you make the oil, I like to leave it out in the sun because the sun has some healing power that draws it out. You want to start making your oils usually on a new moon. And then the energy of the moon, as it's getting bigger and bigger, waxing, will pull the medicine out of the plant and into the oil. That's an old trick. Go, we'll get a bit more. This is wildcrafted St. John's wort, but you can also grow your own. It's quite easy to grow. It's very, very, not very fussy. It likes really well-drained soil and lots of sun. The more the plants are in the sun, the more they're going to have that red oil in them. They'll still have some if they have just partial sun. I've grown them in both. And they just reseed like crazy. So once you get it established, it'll always be there. The deer tend to like to eat it though. When I have it in the part of the garden that's not deer fenced, it's always munched down, just a little bit. But it's not really great for livestock. It can create a phototoxicity for them, meaning that it makes sunlight very, very difficult for them. So if there's any livestock watching this video, don't eat this, okay? Better for you. Not to. St. John's wort's also used in depression, but that's more the tincture. I guess you could take the oil internally though. I tend to make the tincture for the depression and the internal stuff. But right now we're focusing on oil. See, it doesn't take that long. You can always get your kids to help or anybody else around if you have a big harvest. One summer I made my nephew chop it all up. I paid him teenage boy wages. He spent a whole month with me. He's a mechanic now. but he's never forgotten St. John's wort, ever. Once you've experienced the healing of this plant, you'll never forget it either. And wort is another name for healing herb or for herbs that they used to make beer with. Now, I've never tried that. However, being a Canadian, all Canadians like their beer. It's just part of the culture. Chop, 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 chop. Chop, 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 chop. The other thing is when you're making a herbal oil is you want to make sure there's no air. Then when air is exposed to the plant, that's when you can get mold. And mold's probably going to be your biggest problem in making a herbal oil. So if you really want it to turn out good, I'm going to say it again. I already said it once, but make sure the jar is dry, dry, dry. And sterilized. That way nothing, science projects can grow within it. And you want to loosely pack it, because then you're going to fill it to the top with oil. And then you want to put it on a surface where it's okay if it leaks out a little bit, because it will. And you can clean that surface up easily. I usually keep it on my porch in the summer. You can always tell where I live. It's the porch with all the jars on it. People do make a joke of that when they don't know where I live and they drive up and down the road. People that know me know they can find that. And St. John's wort is actually named after St. John the Baptist. And they have the big festival day on June 24th. So I call that a herbal holiday. So if you want to have a celebration of this beautiful plant, make sure you never work on June 24th. I call it St. John's Wort Day, but it's also the festival of St. John the Baptist. And if you're anywhere near Quebec, that's a big festival. Okay, pretty full now. See, just want to get a shot of that, loosely packed. There you go. So then the next part is so easy you can't even believe it. You take the olive oil and you pour it on. It's a good time to say thank you to the plant for growing, and the more gratitude you have, you put that energy into your medicine. You really do feel it. That's all proven with quantum physics these days. But herbalists have known it forever. And you want to fill it right to the very, very, very top, because you don't want any airspace. There you go. Then you take your lid, and this has all been sterilized as well, and you put it on top, and then you want to shake it. I'm not going to shake it right here. Oh no, maybe I am. Just shake it back and forth, and then this is going to take at least 6 weeks. You could do it 2 weeks to the next full moon, or you could do it 6 weeks to the following full moon. And over time this will turn red, and I'm sure you're going to see us on another video with taking the oil out. But that's it. You've just made a herbal oil. The other thing I'd like to say though about making a herbal oil, we made this with fresh St. John's wort. It wouldn't work with dried. You wouldn't get the red color. So it has to be fresh. Some herbs are better when they're dry, but this is one that's better when it's fresh. It doesn't have a high water content, so the chances of water leaking in there and creating mold are very, very small. So there you have it, St. John's wort oil. Enjoy, here it is. I'll see you soon when it turns all red in a couple moons.